It's the Ryan Mercer Show with Richard Masso. Our hosts and their guests are here to talk about comics, movies, random topics, and everything in between. Now, here's your hosts, Ryan and Richard.
The Oppenheimer Projects.
Good evening, everybody. It is 8:04 p.m., and as promised, we are here to talk about Bruce Willis. Not talk trash on Bruce Willis, but talk about Bruce Willis. So it's myself, Richard, and then our who's becoming reoccurring guest host, Jordan.
I think we have
Jordan.
to put featuring. Yeah.
I gotta figure out a way to get the font small enough to be between your name and the comics, featuring Jordan.
It's one of those things like when you watch an episode of Law and Order and like they put like a celebrity's name in the credits before you've seen him, you're like, that's the killer. Like,
oh yeah,
like that. All right, you're gonna show me like Whoopi Goldberg's on the episode. Yeah, no, she's the killer. So
they're definitely or they're definitely in on it, like the ant cover.
Yeah, right, or they're the lawyer.
Yeah.
Like it, right.
It's like an episode of Robin Williams where you're like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a really great episode.
Ooh, forgot about that. Was that SVU or was that?
Yeah,
I think it was SVU.
Yeah.
The episode was.
Yo, Robin Williams, and we're gonna start a completely different podcast with
Sure,
that.
that's what we're here for. Yeah.
I would say underrated as a villain. Like totally creepy, hardcore. Like gives you the chills. Like I don't know what you're about to do next, and I'm scared type villain.
But then he can be like the whimsical character that everyone expects. So you're like, to have that type of range is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say we would have seen him in a Marvel or DC. We would have seen him playing something.
And definitely.
That's really
like a Netflix villain.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry for both. Yeah, it is sad to think of that. That is a sad topic. Those who've gone too soon. So we don't have an official news here, but you guys have just triggered me in a positive way. So speaking of mental health, and I can't believe we were talking about this as an aside, like in person after we saw Batman. And now a full, close to a month later, Kanye and his mental health and how it's being treated made the news this week and shared on the Oppenheimer Project's page when he was asked not to perform at Grammys, because he used a racial slur against Trevor Noah because Trevor Noah had a video go viral about him saying that, hey, we should not discount, we tend to tease and be silly with Kim Kardashian for her, for her product and for her lifestyle, but that doesn't mean that she should be harassed by Kanye in the way he's been doing it. So that was a little bit of an interesting news. And now, of course, Kanye's diehard fans are upset with Trevor. You guys want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that stood out to me was Trevor Noah's tweet following the cancellation when he said, "I said counsel Kanye, not cancel Kanye," right. Because I know a lot of people would say that, or I think they would say Trevor Noah is like just left, right, all just that's like the side he's on, Democrat, whatever the case may be. That's how they label him. But from what I see, I feel like he's like very even keeled, very open minded, very intelligent, obviously. And I don't think that was his intention. I think he really sees like Kanye is a friend in need, and we have to figure out how we can address this. But you really just threw gasoline on the fire and made a situation worse than it could be. And I don't mean the situation with Kim and everything that's going on. I just mean we've seen Kanye's behavior. He's ready to retaliate in some instances.
Oh, I mean, I was going to say, this has been ramping up for a while. I mean, the stuff that going back and forth for him and Pete Davidson to making a music video where you make a claymation version of him and you decapitate him. Like, this has been getting out of control for a while. And now it's kind of, I think, hit its boiling point where, like, where does this go from next? I mean, Trevor Noah didn't really say anything bad. I mean, he really didn't. He was just breaking down the situation. Didn't really say anything bad about it. He just said he needs obviously get some help, and obviously we should believe Kim Kardashian when she says she doesn't feel safe, or this is a really not an environment for her kids, like any mother in a situation would do. And to Richard's point, I agree with that 100%. I mean, I think a lot of people criticize her over, obviously, what we talked about a couple weeks ago with her whole comment about her like working thing, and obviously he criticized her about how she got famous. And like at the end of the day, she's just like every other mother out there. She's trying to do the right thing for her kids, and she's being harassed by a person that has mental health issues, but also is a billionaire. So it's impossible to get away.
Right.
So it's really a double-edged sword there. And if you don't believe her in her situation, who are you going to believe? I mean, it's a crazy situation. And for him to escalate to a point where Trevor Noah was really just breaking the situation, talking about how she can't like get Kanye some help and try to do the right thing, but also making sure Kim is seen other than what I think with the media's cast her for the last like 10 years. And for him to go out and call him a racial slur and do all this stuff is just, he's getting to a point where it's like, people around Kanye should get him some help because this is going to get worse before it gets better. And I don't know where this is going to lead to, but it's nowhere good, unfortunately.
Yeah, he does. His behavior is he definitely has some mental health issues. We keep saying that, but it is troubling in the sense where I feel like he would act upon what he says, right? And I kind of hesitate while I say that, but yeah, like I totally like I don't disagree with Kim Kardashian or anything at all. Like we've seen videos like we said his claymation video, his tweets, his Instagram posts, just the way he's acted in the past, all these documentaries, interviews he's done. It's kind of like, all right, you definitely need to get some help, but I also kind of feel like you might act upon your aggression and everything that's going through your head right now, and I could definitely see where Kim Kardashian's like, and she doesn't seem like the type where she would try and keep her kids away from him forever, but like somebody needs to intervene. I know we talked about this after we saw the Batman. We were sitting in my living room. There's nobody around Kanye going like, yo, dude. Actually, I'm just triggered something. I thought I saw a comment on some platform, YouTube, whatever, and somebody said that they feel like Kanye is so large, right? Like as a figure, that the people in his circle might be thinking like behind the scenes, like, yo, I don't agree with what this guy's doing. At the same time, they don't want to speak up, to be pushed outside of the circle, if that makes sense.
But then on the other side of it, I mean, I don't know if you saw it. Now, this guy, Jay Prince, who's like big up in the music industry. He's like trying to get other big hip hop artists to boycott the Grammys because they won't allow Kanye to perform. So now
Somebody
it's like
else did that, yeah.
This is taking way out of context. I mean, they're trying to protect their brand, and they feel like he is an unstable element in it. But now it's getting to a ridiculous situation where, at the end of the day, someone's having a mental health crisis, and the people around them won't get them help because they don't want to turn down a paycheck.
And I interpret it as, if Trevor Noah is not the host of the Grammys, this is probably not an issue. You know, like Trevor Noah is the host. They've seen that Kanye has no problem when an award show ignoring, social cues. So. And again, like that's the other thing that, and I don't know if what I'm saying is fair. So many of these situations that we see, like you forget Kanye is again, I'm really trying to say this the right way. And that's why I like that people call people out on things. So obviously you guys can call me out if it sounds wrong. I don't know if it's fair to say Kanye first and foremost is an entertainer. I think that's something that's not too unfair to say. Like he is all about his brand, his, I mean, literally, my first exposure to him was a music video of him singing, Through the Wire. And it's just a whole song and a video about his experience having his jaw broken in the car accident and surviving the car accident. So, he's always about exploiting his situation, sharing his life, and putting it out there. And again, I think with the racial slur with Trevor Noah and them saying, yeah, them both on the same stage, this is probably not going to work out great. But I do also, and this becomes a recurring theme every time we do a podcast. What does this look like in 1992? What does this look like without social media? This is me, Ryan. I I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out. I'm not, sorry, but you and Alexis's mom, I get the sense, had a rough patch where you weren't high-fiving, and shaking hands, like where you didn't get along.
Yeah.
If Facebook had been a thing, could I see a young, less disciplined Ryan putting up something like, just drop the baby off at, the jerk mom, like you putting something like you expressing yourself on social media, can't believe, Alexis's mom won't let me see her. So.
Yeah. To answer that question, and this goes back to what we were saying. So we're if you're listening, everyone, we're transferring from the Ryan Mercer show with Richard Masso and Jordan to teenagers, toddlers, and twins real quick. But no, in all seriousness, and this goes back to what we just said about like Kanye's circle and how important it is to have a good support system. And I think we all can agree that like the people you hang out with definitely affects the way you react to things, the way you do things. And I'm going somewhere with this, and where I'm going is my father has always been my compass in life, always given me great direction, never let me down. He told me from a very young age, never put anything in writing. And he just like kept going with that. And I can't remember where it stems from. I think I wrote something in like third grade, like about another kid or something stupid, and got in trouble for it. But I'll never forget, it was a life lesson. He continued with it through high school and to this day. And maybe that's why I don't post too much about politics and things like that. Also, I'm not really good at it. But my point is that there was somebody in my circle to say, don't do that, right? Don't post about Alexis's mom. Don't post about what's going on in your private life with the negativity and the kids and things like that. Yeah, that's not for everybody to see. It will get you in trouble, he said, like flat out. You know what I mean? Like they can show the police, whatever. So in my head, there's, for the most part, I know you guys see my social media at like 3 a.m. and I'm posting something random, but for the most part, there is this wall. Like if you don't have anything nice to say, like just like don't say it, don't write it, and especially don't write it, because we talk about that like all the time, right? Like we talk about celebrities who wrote something 6 years ago and somebody's like, boop, got him. So yeah. So my long-winded explanation is I don't know who's in Kanye's circle to quote Richard, to be like, Kanye, don't post that. Don't make that video.
And that's what I honestly thought your answer was going to be, was that, somebody like a parent stop me. The other thing, I have to laugh at myself. When I gave that example, I was kind of transposing Shanna having kids in like the late 90s on you. And I'm realizing, no, Alexis is 15, 16. So yeah, Facebook was probably just starting out and there was social media. And yeah, I know Ryan probably had a little MySpace page with his top 8 and, so it was a real, it was a real thing. No, you could have. Yeah. But you gave the answer I was expecting, was that, yes, somebody, and that's always seems to be what's missing in these people's lives. So to perfectly segue to what looks like a case of a positive effect on someone's life was Amanda Bynes' conservatorship. Who, Amanda Bynes did the Britney thing about 10, 12 years ago, where she was tattooing her face. She was, having drunk tirades. She was using drugs, and this one
aliens were coming after her.
Yeah, she thought, she had a lot going on, and 9 years later, like her conservatorship's about to end because she's gone to college. She's got, I think she does fashion design. She's worked on herself, and she's not perfect, but yeah, it seems like her parents intervening and having control of her money and her residuals from all of her shows from the early 2000s looks like it had a positive effect.
Would you say all of her money from all that stuff she did?
I don't know if sorry. I don't know how much all that money she gets, but the Snow White movie she did, what's that called? Sydney White.
The soccer one? No, she's the man.
She's the man. No, she's the man. Yeah. She did one where she was like a Snow White in college, like Sydney White. She did like a princess one. Yeah, she did one where Colin Firth was her dad, and she found out that she yeah, she had a couple really big hits, and then that's the thing. You have a 19-year-old, 20-year-old with unlimited money and partying, and
yeah, and that's a whole other podcast. I'm actually diving down a rabbit hole earlier this week is Nickelodeon and the producers and all that craziness.
Yeah, that is a
went on.
crazy one. Yeah.
Did you see that? I wanted to like share it on social media, but my dad once told me, don't write.
Don't put everything you want, right?
But I really wanted to. A part of me wanted to be like, hey, if you want your childhood ruined, go ahead and watch this video, because that's one of those things that like sticks with you. Like, I could never watch these shows the same way ever again.
No,
it's an important thing to watch. Yeah.
Was it Dan Schneider?
Dan Schneider, who for old heads listening, he was if there was an old 80s TV show called Head of the Class, and he was the large student who was kind of like, was friends with the the nerd in the super smart class, who went on to become but apparently he was super shady and super exploitive of these kids.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, anytime you see a child celebrity, you don't really see. After they get out of childhood phase, you don't really see them again, because they usually have something crazy happen to them, or they. I think Shia Labeouf is a good example. I mean, I feel like a lot of people forget that he was part of Disney as a kid, and then they see him now as an adult, and he's just doing these crazy things. It's like the movie Honey Boy is like disturbing, all the stuff his dad put him through to be able to be in to be able to get that Disney money, and it just makes you think about, like, now him as an adult, he's probably a little messed up in the head and also has millions of dollars. So of course he's going to get in these random situations, or, show up to one movie screening with a bag on his head, say he's not famous anymore. I mean, it's one of those things you shouldn't be surprised about, but once you start see the history of it or get a little insight to it, yeah, it's one of those things you want to keep your kids away from completely.
Yeah, no, I actually thought about Shia LaBeouf after I watched this little YouTube video I found, and I love Shia LaBeouf as an actor. I think he is insanely talented, right? He went from Even Stevens to being this, I would say, Oscar-worthy actor and writer, even director, right? Because of everything he did with Honey Boy. But, you watch some videos on YouTube, and I think it was actually even was it a Conan or a Jimmy interview? So one of them. And he's talking about all the trouble he went through and where he got into an argument or an altercation with a police officer. But he goes on to say that when he went to the court-ordered therapy, they were like, this is PTSD. And he said, here I'm going with it. It's all coming together now. He said he started writing everything down, and it turned into Honey Boy. So, that's why he said he wanted to play his dad. I remember he said that, I think he said he linked up with his dad, and even then, as an adult, a successful actor who didn't need to rely on his dad for anything, there was still that aura, like, I'm kind of afraid to tell my dad what this whole movie's about, right? And we see it with help me out here. What was his name? Corey Feldman, that passed away, overdosed.
Mm-hmm.
And he tried talking about how children were exploited in Hollywood and this and that, and he was kind of shrugged off about it, or they kind of shrugged him off. And then a couple years later, there was the Me Too movement, Harvey Weinstein, all the, was going to trial, and everything kind of came out. And, I would imagine that Hollywood and entertainment still has its struggles in this area, but I think people are more aware at this point also.
I mean, you would hope, right?
Yeah, I would hope.
Yeah. But I mean, you think about, like, from early 2000s, all those, like, child celebrities are on Disney or Nickelodeon and stuff like that. Like, how many of them are still acting or still in the business, and how many of them came out of this unscathed? I mean, I think a really good example, and it's kind of opposite of Amanda Bynes, was Lindsay Lohan. Her and her mom had a terrible relationship, and it feels like her mom was just being in her life just to coast off of the money she was making. And she had, like, a really crazy down spiral. I mean, even over the last, like, 4 or 5 years, you would see her on TV, and she was just, like, sickly and emaciated. And she just, like she was going through this drug-fueled, like, parties. And then over the last, like, 2 years, you started to see, like, she got to rehab. She's trying to do the right thing and trying to, like, recover whatever career she probably could have. And now she's like, okay, it seems like she's finally in control of that. But there's not too many cases that are like that. I feel like either you turn to Lindsay Lohan or you turn to Haley Joel Osment, but either way, it's not good.
Where is Haley Joel Osment? That's a segue.
He works occasionally, doesn't he?
Yeah, last time we saw him, he was in The Boys, and you're like,
he was in Boys, and he was interesting. Yeah.
I was gonna say, segue. What's your favorite Haley Joel Osment movie?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I was going to tell one more news story, but that's the perfect segue. What is my favorite Haley Joel Osment? Well, he was young Forrest Gump.
Yes, he was.
So I did like him as young Forrest Gump.
Uh-huh.
What else was he in?
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I mean that's
Philadelphia based, right?
That was M. Night Shyamalan's first movie. I don't know when I say big movie, but probably his first and most most well known. Yeah, most right. Like, and really, there is Ryan, because we always do this. We can't remember that. You think about the actor. Why I finished my point about M. Night Shyamalan, because there was a major actor in that movie, but it's one of those things where
the mom.
No, not the mom. The mom was I know the mom. She was just in that Nightmare Alley that's been nominated for an Oscar. Oh, the Oscars are Sunday. We probably should have done an Oscar special. But M. Night, like he hit his home run in his first at bat. So all of his singles and doubles and triples, like, oh, he just hit a stand-up triple, but yeah, but again, he also had it was a big actor, a huge actor was in this movie. Oh, yeah, no, Ryan's been censored. You're muted. There you go.
Sorry, no, was it Donnie Wahlberg? He popped up.
No, Donnie Wahlberg, I don't think it was who I'm thinking of. The guy who was in Moonlighting in the 1980s. Oh, you know what? He was just in those Die Hard battery commercials for Die Hard batteries. They were all over the TV.
Is that another segue?
Yeah, I thought this what this perfect segue was. I feel like this is where if we had a producer, you feel like we had to drag out you saying Bruce Willis.
I was sitting there just waiting for Ryan to say it.
Right.
So wait, the one.
This is where I can't tell with his Katy Perry pompadour if he's getting it or if he's not getting it.
Wait, the ones that pop up immediately, like on the top, Greg Wood.
No idea.
Fedoris Bomji, Glenn Fitzgerald, Donnie Wahlberg.
I don't remember Donnie Wahlberg. Did you look up Sixth Sense or did you look up something else?
No, because Toni Collette,
is the mom.
Yeah, but
Trevor
Donnie
Morgan.
He was in a later movie called The Happening with M. Night Shyamalan, where he was running from the wind for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah, Mark was.
I'm gonna get back on my life.
Mark was in this. Mark was in The Happening, right? So Signs was.
So it was Ashley. Remember Ashley?
The Signs was Joaquin Phoenix and
Mel Gibson, or no?
No, it was.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's one of my favorite movies. Don't screw that one up. Yeah. Yeah. But
so welcome to our M. Night Shyamalan special, where we're talking all about M. Night Shyamalan's movies.
I gotta say real quick, I really feel like Hollywood gives M. Night Shyamalan the steam that they do because of The Sixth Sense, because he is super inconsistent with his movies and the critics and the fans alike. But every time you see the trailer, they highlight that it's M. Night Shyamalan, and people go and see it. Although I heard, what was it? The most recent one? I heard that was good.
Was solid. Yeah. Everyone, sorry, I didn't say it, but everyone. And again, like his super. Sorry, Jordan.
No, I was gonna say, but about to get to the point, like Unbreakable. That was
Unbreakable. Yeah, his superhero trilogy was solid. Was really solid. Unbreakable is really good.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Glass and Split were good.
And then Glass.
Glass, yeah, I said Mr. Glass, yeah.
But like, yeah, I feel like the time in between kind of killed the momentum for that.
Right. Like again, like the Village. Was it called The Village?
Yeah,
Sigourney Weaver and a few others.
Was she okay? Again, but again, like that's what he was doing. He was chasing the surprise ending.
Oh yeah, well, like,
you
can't do that for the whole movie, and then you have like surprise twist at the end, and that you're that guy for every movie,
right? And you can't, because you had the greatest, really, like Sixth Sense nailed the greatest surprise ever. Like I feel like we didn't say spoilers before that. We probably said, like we didn't, like Sixth Sense was huge with that, and then it was like, okay, at the end of Unbreakable, Bruce Willis is a super and The Village, it's in modern times, and then again, I say, Signs was, I don't actually know the twist for all of them. The Lady in the Lake, which I was just like,
if
you're just
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. If you're gonna build towards something, this was not M. Night Shyamalan, but I brought up Toni Collette was in Nightmare Alley with Bradley Cooper, Ron Perlman, Willem Dafoe, and the ads were like, with an ending, the most shocking ending in cinema in 20 years, like the most shocking ending, and again, if no one's watched, cover your ears if you haven't watched it yet. All right. Like, Bradley Cooper is a down on his luck guy working at a circus, and he learns about something called a freak. And it's just that, and Willem Dafoe says, oh, hey, you know what we do is we get a drug addict. We get him so hopped up on drugs, he'll do anything for the drugs, and he'll sit there and be the freak, and he'll act like a freak, and he'll eat the chicken, and he'll do all this crazy stuff, And Bradley Cooper's like, well, that won't ever be me, And Bradley Cooper rises to the top of the world as like the greatest magician, mentalist, and then he has a fall. And at the end of the movie, Bradley Cooper is so desperate, he becomes a geek. He'll do anything for drugs, and and it was like, that's not a surprise ending. That's like a story. You've told a story that went full circle. Like, all right, like you didn't like, oh no, like the really shitty Bradley Cooper who we were waiting to get a punishment. Like,
yeah, like thank you. I like to quote Archer when I watch movies like that. Like, thank you, Freddie foreshadowing. Like, because that's the part that drives you crazy about it. The whole movie, they make that one foreshadowing bit later, and then at the end, you're like, oh, come on. I mean, one of the movies I really love in comparison to Nightmare Alley is The Prestige, and you're
okay. Yeah, right, sure, yeah.
Yeah, kind of surprising at the end, but again, it kind of foreshadows a little bit like what's going to happen, but still has. I think the movie still holds up, but also like Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, which is great in the movie, and right. Michael Caine. Yeah,
Michael Caine was a master in that movie.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah,
David Bowie was in that movie.
Oh yeah, David Bowie was in that.
Yeah,
David Bowie was solid as fuck in that movie. For me, I always tell Monica, because we have to watch Signs. Signs is one of my favorite movies ever, honestly. And because it's about something, long story short, it's about a guy who lost his faith, right? And if you pay attention, the aliens are the backstory. Like the girl, again, spoilers, the little girl doesn't like her water. Little kid has asthma. Mom, the wife, said all these things to him before he died, right? He was a priest and he stopped believing in God because his wife died. And at the very end, here's the spoiler, everything had happened for a reason. The last thing she said, like, tell Meryl swing away. His bat was right there. The aliens were, they couldn't handle water. The little girl left the water glasses everywhere. So I just love that story for, pointing out that, like, or showing that perhaps everything happens for a reason. And really simple ending, right? Like, that's the ending. Your heart's pounding. We're getting the alien. You see the alien, whatever. And then at the very end, you just see him in the bathroom, come out of the bathroom, put his watch on. He has his, sorry, I don't know what it's called, where the priest wears around their neck. And that's it, right? He's going to church. Like, he's found his faith again. He misses his wife. He wished it never happened, but everything had come full circle and happened for a reason. So that's just my little point on not having a surprise ending and just having it be like, hey, that's a solid story. That's all we need to see. We don't need a huge ending. We don't need to see the aliens go back to outer space or anything like that. Okay, so without further ado, we segued and then we segued into M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, then we did great. Yeah, right. Then so as Shannon can tell you, I get lost a lot because I don't read GPSs really well. And like, I was going to a school today in Marlton, and I thought I got lost, but I actually went the right way. So that will happen with me in the driver's seat. Bruce Willis's career, how about it? For any of the old heads on here who remember him. He struck big as the star of Moonlighting in the 1980s, where he was with Sybil Shepherd and they played detectives, and it was like a huge will they won't they, it was really a big part of the 80s Moonlighting. Then he had a little hit movie with what's that actress's name? It was called Blind Date, and that actress was Alec Baldwin's first ex-wife. Kim Basinger, good cop.
Yeah.
Blind Date with Kim Basinger, where he did his comedic chops. And then in 1988, he got cast in a movie called Die Hard. Die Hard. I'm literally reading it. It's not even like I have to have memory. I'm reading it. All three of us, I think, have IMDb up. All right, Die Hard. Die Hard's one that no matter who's listening, they've heard of Die Hard. They've heard it referenced.
Of course.
And then again, I'm just going to read movies, and you guys. This is actually like one of those games where like you play a game. Like you tell me where to stop when you think I'm going to get to the place where he no longer has a movie of note. And so I'm going to take I'm not going to take anything out of it. You just guys like, it's one of those like games where you're like, like a Price is Right game where it's like going up the mountain. You have to say stop before it goes. All right. So I'm just going to try this out. All right. So he had Die Hard.
Okay.
Look Who's Talking. All the Die Hards and Look Who's Talking. Hudson Hawk, Billy Bathgate, Last Boy Scout. Last Boy Scout's one that, if you haven't seen, Death Becomes Her. He was in Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
I know you guys are both. I was going to say Striking Distance, where he played like Color of Night, Nobody's Fool, Die Hard with a Vengeance, 12 Monkeys, which is pretty good film. You haven't seen it. He was a voice in Beavis and Butthead to America. Fifth Element was a pretty huge movie for him.
Oh, one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah. The Jackal was a neat turn. Armageddon.
Armageddon.
By the way, I in all fairness to our audience, I am actually skipping over movies because when I'm like, hey guys, remember Mercury Rising? You remember Bruno the Kid? You'd be like, all right, stop the game. He was in The Siege, which I kind of would have to. I remember it was a decent movie, yeah, right.
Hold on. I gotta pause real quick because both of you are looking like, what was that? The Siege, Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, Bruce Willis.
Yes. Tony
Shalhoub.
Okay.
Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah.
Solid.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's exactly what The Siege is. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and like a solid like 1990s pre 9/11. So
yeah. I was gonna say if you go click on it on IMDb, you're like, wait, did they do a 9/11 movie before 9/11? Yeah,
lots of explosions, awesome. Terrorist action.
Yeah, I remember
really
now.
Good one.
Again, a solid movie. The Sixth Sense, 1999. The Sixth Sense. The Story of Us, The Whole Nine Yards. That was like
okay.
I would say that was the Goff movie where he was Unbreakable.
Whole Nine Yards was that comedy with Matthew Perry and
the comedy with Matthew Perry. That's it. Yeah.
What's her name? She had
really cute the cute girl who I can't think of her name right now. Something, not Perry, because you just said Amanda something. Amanda something. They were all like Amanda
Pete.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was one of the cute girls of the late 90s, early 2000s. He did have a nice run in Friends as Rachel's boyfriend, and then Unbreakable in 2000. Bandits with
Billy Bob.
Hearts War. All right, this is where I feel like you should be putting your hands on your buzzer. Grand Champion, True West, Tears of the Sun, Charlie's Angels, Full Threaded, but The Whole 10 Yards. We have the Whole 10 Yards. We have the sequel to The Whole 9 Yards. Hostage. Sin City. He was solid in Sin City.
Yeah, he was.
All right. Alpha Dog, Lucky Number 11, 16 Blocks, Fast Food Nation, The Astronaut Farmer.
The fuck? That one I definitely never heard of.
Planet Terror, Perfect Stranger, Live Free or Die Hard, 2007.
Okay.
I love that Live Free or Die Hard gag reel is on his credits. Assassination of a High School President. Surrogates, Cop Out. Cop Out is the Kevin Smith movie with Tracy Morgan that Kevin Smith hated working with.
It was pretty good.
So. Did he?
Yeah, Kevin Smith hated working because Kevin Smith had always directed his own people and his own friends, and then working with Bruce Willis, who would be like, "I'm not doing that." Yeah, The Expendables. All right, you know what? Red was a solid movie.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not hitting it because it's very scattered.
Right, because I know that there's going to be Setup, Catch 44, Lay the Favorite, Cold Light of Day, Moonrise Kingdom. Moonrise Kingdom's one of those Wes Anderson movies like Rushmore and stuff.
Yeah.
The Expendable 2, Looper.
Looper solid.
Looper was good.
Looper solid. Now That's where I would hit. I would hit with Looper because we're gonna go fire with fire. A Good Day to Die Hard. I think that's where he goes to Russia to save his son.
Didn't even see that one.
Yeah, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Red 2,
God.
A Second Sin City that I don't remember. All right, and now get ready, everyone. Everyone,
ready.
You get points. This is 2014 on Vice, Rock the Casbah, Extraction, Precious Cargo, Marauders. Okay, Split. He appears at the end of Split.
I'm hitting it at Split.
Yeah, Split. Okay. Once Upon a Time in Venice, First Kill, Acts of Violence, Death Wish. I forgot he did a Death Wish. Reprisal, Airstrike, Glass. Glass sneaks in there. It's the part of these. Motherless, Brooklyn. 10 Minutes Gone, Trauma Center, Survive the Night, Hard Kill.
Any day now, Jordan, hit the button.
Breach, Cosmic Sin, Midnight in Switchgrass. And
You're
now,
Jordan,
by the way, this is all now, and this is kind of what prompted this whole podcast. This is 2021. Cosmic Sin, Midnight in Switchgrass, Out of Death, Survive the Game, Apex, Deadlock, Fortress, American Siege, Gasoline Alley, A Day to Die, and with, not completed yet, or completed but not out yet, Vendetta, Fortress Sniper's Eye. And then still in post-production, The Wrong Place, Die Like Lovers, Corrective Measures, Wire Room, White Elephant, Paradise City, and Fortress 3. And the last thing I'll say, because I've been talking for a while, all of these movies that I just named, he's in the movie substantially. These aren't like walk-ons or he's
on the movie poster.
He's on the movie poster. And all of those, as I think Ryan might have referred to it as red box specials. What we used to call straight to DVDs. So please, Bruce Willis's career. Good. By the way, named several movies in there that are in people's top 10. Like several of his movies are in, and again across the board. Like, there's movies in there that people love.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just gonna say real quick what triggered it is that I was sitting there. And, I have the Roku TV, so it's kind of the same as like a Fire Stick menu. And I saw that Switchblade Grass?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I saw that poster and I took a picture and I sent it to Richard and I was like, I want to do a podcast on this. And Richard was in, and the reason being is because I think we both were on the same page. Like
I said, we got to get Jordan because we can't do this by ourselves.
Listen, and I don't want to talk too long because Jordan has a story about Bruce Willis, but I mean, I posted it on the Oppenheimer Project the other day, 145 credits. The reason I compared him to Tom Cruise and Mel Gibson is because I feel like they're 90s action stars and everyone's gone on to do great things. IMDb, 145 movie credits, net worth of $255 million, just turned 67 years old. And I like I said, I see him in these random ass movies. Like we said, the Razzie Awards, which for those of you that don't know is just a movie shamming award. Academy.
Right. Yeah.
That has like a leg to stand on. Like they've been around for a while. He did 7 movies in 2021. So they said, what was it? Worst Bruce Willis movie of 2021. I don't know what's going on. I think it's worth a discussion. Like I said, I cite his net worth because he doesn't need to work anymore. He doesn't need to put himself through this craziness. 7-8 movies a year that are never going to make it to the big screen. Your thoughts, Jordan? I know you said that you had an interaction with the young man, and I was thinking about it. I guess he was filming Glass.
Yep. Yeah. Well, before we get into that story, because I feel like I'll launch off. You know how I get, Ryan.
Everyone here gets that way.
No, but I feel like I don't know how to explain it. Like, obviously, like Richard mentioned, like there's a bunch of movies that like I think everyone like has set in their memory as like one of their favorite movies to watch all the time, or it's something they go back to because it's always it's a really good watch. But I can't explain that, like, after a certain point, you're just making these terrible movies back and forth. And I remember, it's funny, when my wife and I, our neighbor was telling us to watch this movie, actually watch Marauders. And I was like, all right, Bruce Willis in it. I'll check it out. Why not? Oh, David Bautista's in it as well? Fine. And I watched it and I regret it entirely. It was god awful. They tried to do like,
I watched that one too.
there's like it's in Cincinnati. It kept raining all the time. It felt like kind of Sin City, and like the plot wasn't going anywhere. Characters felt undeveloped, and I was like, maybe. And in my mind, as we prepared to talk about this, I was like, maybe he's just putting himself on. He doesn't need the money. Maybe he's trying to lift maybe some young talent, or maybe make this a bigger movie because he's just attached to it. But like, there has to be a reason for that. I mean. Or maybe he's just not as in demand in Hollywood anymore, so he's going to just attach himself wherever he can put himself on now. He doesn't really be in the big budget movie. Sorry, my cat's here now.
Hey, cat. So everything Jordan just said, and then I'm going to kick it to Richard because I just want to get this off my chest real quick because I feel like people may be thinking I've been bashing Bruce Willis on social media as we promote this upcoming podcast. Not the case. I think he's a solid actor all around. I love plenty of Bruce Willis movies. And like I said to Richard, I even enjoyed Die Hard with a Vengeance. Like, I enjoy a good, solid C- Sunday movie that if it's entertaining to me, like, I'll watch it. But like, I think Jordan used the word painful. Like Apex, why are you working with Megan Fox? I mean, nothing against Megan Fox, but I mean, like, you should be working towards an Oscar by now, but instead you're just settling for like 8 movies a year, and it's weird.
And maybe that little Kevin Smith story I told there for a second is maybe he is hard to work with, and so like the bigger people don't want him, and so the person that's making the little thriller is like, okay, great, we can get Bruce Willis and just have to give him, again, what can he be making off these movies that aren't bringing anything back in, and then so it's fascinating because this is the kind of like Nicolas Cage is making a movie about
just thinking that
about how like Nicolas Cage could not stop. Yeah, like he's basically like he's making a movie how like Nicolas Cage fell in hard times financially and made every movie in the world for a couple years there. He's now making a movie about is him having to do that. And again, nothing about, that we know of with Bruce Willis says he needs to be doing this. And it's also not like he has this critical acclaim too, like where he's not thought of as a joke. He's not thought of as like, he's not even stereotyped as like, oh yeah, like Arnold is stereotyped, like certain actors are stereotyped. Like, okay, and again, if Arnold tried to do Hamlet tomorrow, but Bruce Willis, I don't want to say quite do Hamlet, but Bruce Willis could have done anything. Like, we're repeating kind of what Jordan just said. So it's interesting. It's interesting what leads to this. And maybe we find out like, oh yeah, I'm trying to fund Kanye's defense and I need to keep the money coming. So,
so let me ask the question, because I mean, this is kind of be more of a fun point for this episode. Jordan, you first, and then Richard, you obviously, because
there's only 3 of us. Right.
Does it affect the way that you see Bruce Willis? Because I know Richard asked that question, like as part of this episode. Like, do you think any less of him, or are you just like, dude, stop, like, relax?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I still think of him and Fifth Element and the movies I really enjoy. I to be honest, when I see him on demand, I really just skip them, and I feel like I just don't associate them with Bruce Willis, or maybe I compartmentalize it and I like get angry later. But I feel like I have like a special place in my movie Rolodex for Bruce Willis, and unfortunately, I can't separate him from his really good works to the stuff he's doing now. I don't know. It's one of those weird things because I feel like everyone has those actors that they remember in those pivotal roles, and you can't think of them outside of that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was, as you were talking, I was thinking, I think for most people, they're not aware of this. Like we're a little more
seeing it.
We're a little more tuned into pop culture. We're kind of, like, again, that I first heard about it when that Razzies thing hit, and then you kind of think it's like, oh my goodness, he's had so many movies that Razzies is giving it. And that's the thing, like, it's not just he's had so many movies like they're making a joke, like all the movies are bad. Like, like they wouldn't have done it if 1 or 2 of them was like, all right, it made about 50 million at the box office, was pretty solid. Like, they were all straight, and again, we're talking in an era of everybody, Netflix, Apple TVs, Hulu, Netflix. everyone just gets their movies like highlighted that they're coming out. He was really straight to Redbox, in a world where like, yeah. So it is, again, but at the same time, yeah, I'm not going to look at Die Hard tomorrow if it comes on, or Armageddon comes on, which again, like none of these are, like Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker acting performances, but they're solid. Like they're solid, again, in Sixth Sense, especially, he's solid. Unbreakable, he's really solid. And again, even in some of the late 80s stuff, like he's just really good because again, he's cute. He's got that, he's cute. He's handsome. He's got that grin,
He's got that tough guy.
Yeah, right. He's got that tough guy voice, which, and he's fun. And like, yeah, I won't, but that's the thing. Like, yeah, no, if I was flipping through Netflix, if I was flipping through whatever, and was like, yeah, no, I'm going to pass. Cause I know it's, again, I heard good things about Looper. I never saw it.
Oh, no,
but I know if I put on Looper, again, it's going to probably be the same performance in every one of these movies. I would be shocked to not see that it's actually the same things, because that's what I would have done if I was him. You need me to jump out of a speeding car? All right, well, I can do it once. I'll do the role once. You can use it in 3 different movies. All right.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, go Ryan.
No, I just was going to say really quick to what Richard just said. I feel like 5 out of his 7 movies last year, he was a cop, 20 years on the job in New York, and it's just like, never seen you in that role before.
Oh no, of course. And I was gonna say the other side of it. It's like he's the he's the villain in this movie. That's just like the cool, calm demeanor guy that has a deep voice. He's like, I didn't do anything, and you're like, but like, how many roles can you're typecast? How many roles can you?
He is typecasted. I hate it.
But like when I got to meet him, he was the nicest guy ever. But I'm like, you got to realize at a certain point, like, this is what you're doing. And like the Golf Richard's point is like he was doing these low budget movies before streaming was a thing where you could like at least take a chance on it. But these movies just coming out left and right, either straight to DVD or Redbox or however you were getting them. And it's like why? Why did you decide to do this?
Yeah, and anyone listening, if you think we're just being a little silly, go to IMDb and you just have to scroll down like the characters' names. It's police chief, it's detective this, it's just all.
and I think, like you said, a lot to adding to what Richard just said, to those of you that are listening or watching, you will be like, I loved Richard's response in the group chat. Yeah, I just looked at IMDb and it's been bad for a while. Like it's a total of like 16 movies between 2021 and 2022. 16. And it's not even like it's like executive producer. Like, no, he's fucking in it. Like,
yeah. He really misunderstood what we were supposed to do in March of 2020. Like, he was just like, "Oh wait, there's no one available." Like, "Oh, I can do it. I'll be here for you." Like yeah, everyone has to stay in
Hollywood. I'll be there for you.
I'm good. Yeah. No, Bruce. Like, no, I got you. What do you need me to be? You need me to be oh, you want me to be a sergeant from the Coast Guard? Okay, I can do that. All right, let's click. This for fun. The wrong place. He plays Frank. Who Wants to Bet Frank is
a cop?
Stop it. A methamphetamine cook hunts down the former police chief of a small town. I was like, is he going to be no, he's not the methamphetamine. He can't even be the. All right, 10 minutes. Let's see. Fortress. By the way, Fortress came out in 2021. Fortress 3 is in pre-production.
I saw that.
Can you guess what movie's missing from the? Oh no, it's Fortress Sniper's Eye. Okay, Fortress Sniper's Eye, I guess, is 2. Okay.
Oh, God.
So in Fortress, I'm guessing in Fortress he plays a military person as opposed to
a cop.
A cop.
20 years on the job.
Listen. I mean, he was good for G.I. Joe. I mean, it made sense. He seemed like a G.I. Joe character.
Even Expendables. I mean, you're just rehashing old characters. Fine. That's it was just a cash grab for Sylvester Stallone. Fine. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
Everyone wanted to see it because of that.
Wait, but hold on, I'm stopped because I'm cracking up here. He's in a Day to Die with Frank Grillo, police chief Alston. He's a cop.
Yeah,
20 years on the job.
Yeah, in Fortress, a group of criminals is hell-bent on revenge. Forces a retired officer and his son to save the day. I mean, maybe he just wore the same. He's like, I have my own badge I can use. I've got a service rifle.
It's the badge I used in Die Hard 2. I just, I use it all the time now.
I wonder if like M. Night had a hard time with him making Glass in 2019. Like go like, no, you're not you're a retired school janitor. You're retired super.
No, you're not a cop, Bruce.
You're not a cop. You're. Hey, in Deadlock,
had a few laughs.
In Deadlock, he's an ex-military man in Deadlock. So, an ex-military working out at Georgia Power Plant has go. Yeah, all right. He's an ex. I also love that in every one of these. And again, I wish Ryan, you had the ability to kind of show pictures or do video like without making us sound crazy, because in every one, like there's always this like C-level actor like Devon Sawa, or like there's always there's always like
in Fortress, Chad Michael Murray
in the Fortress.
Like I saw that, I was like, there's always like a C list. I don't know. I thought Frank Grillo had more flex than that right now.
No, well, I mean, I think he does, but I think I think Frank Grillo knows he's got to work a little bit too. So, but listen. We always say this because we are nice people, and Ryan's dad told us not to put anything out there. But watch the roost. Watch the roost of Bruce Willis, and once you're finished that, watch the Comedy Central roast of Bruce Willis. And you can know he can take a joke. And
one thing I want to say, yes, you can definitely take a joke, but I'm going back to the Nicolas Cage thing. I don't know where it stems from, and maybe you two can give some of your thoughts on this. Nicolas Cage is, maybe it's because we saw him do the crazy face and Face Off or whatever.
Right.
There was something about Nicolas Cage that we were like, you're going crazy, and we're kind of with it. You know what I mean? And it allowed him to get back into Kick-Ass and National Treasure and like ultimately like restart his career. And there was a movie called, was it Bad Cop or something like that? Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage was in that, and he was a crazy lieutenant, and you kind of just like, this is Nicolas Cage. And there's even that term that I don't know if it's actually legitimate or I just throw it around because Grayson and I came up with it in our dorm room back in college. Cagey, right? Because it's like Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. It's cagey. And I just don't think Bruce Willis. Listen, Bruce Willis isn't. I don't know. Is he in a ditch? But I don't think he has any sort of attributes that would allow him to. Like we'd be like, oh, Bruce Willis is playing Bruce Willis. You know what I mean? Like Nicolas Cage. Like we're with that. Like we're excited to see that. And I'm hearing it's Oscar worthy. The what is it? The Tremendous Amount.
Yeah, they're saying it. Yeah, the Unbearable something.
Yeah.
When you were just talking there, it made me think like, or is it really just as simple as we all have fathers who are close to retirement age, or my dad's retired, and like when my dad was in his late 60s, like he absolutely was bored out of his mind and like would have gotten a job as like an Uber driver, or like my uncle is in his early 70s and he's a limo driver. Like you just need to do something to keep busy, and this is what Bruce knows. Yeah. This is what he knows. He's got a mural to protect outside of his house, and that's the new one. Have you seen that one? He's got a mural to protect outside of his house because
he's got a partner named Roscoe.
He's got a partner named Roscoe, and he's worried that the kids are going to spray paint on his mural. So it's pretty good. So, and he's got a smart Alex son who comes over and is like, "Dad, just let it be." And he's like, "Roscoe and I do the voice right."
It's Roscoe and I together.
It's real, yeah.
We're here to protect these streets.
What's not funny is that somewhere Bruce Willis is like, "Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, send me the script."
He's like, "Wait, am I a cop with a gun?"
Right. No, you're a retired cop with a gun. So,
retired military.
Yeah, retired military. Retired military.
That's dead on. That's a Bruce Willis movie.
Wait, and that's the title. It's called Bruce Willis in Mural.
Right.
Directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Filming in Philly yet again.
I'm telling you, this is like we elaborate a little bit, make it a little bit like Gran Torino-esque. We got a movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, all right, Bruce. We've come full circle and offered you more work. Sorry.
I don't know how we got there, but we did.
Yeah. Wait. And what would you do if it's like he reaches out and he's like, "Hey, I wonder if you guys want me to be on your podcast. And we're like, well, we would love to have you, but we just have to ask. Like, are you just jumping on here because you're bored and
Because you're right.
don't
Yeah,
have-
what is
you're
the
in
reason
between
about that?
filming? You're in between filming right now.
Yeah, he's like, I have 27 minutes before my next.
But
But no,
Go
I
ahead,
think, and I think, sorry, Jordan. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say because like the craziest thing, like when you meet him, he's the nicest guy ever. But also
Yeah,
he's
I
like,
believe it.
hold on, time out.
weird,
I
too.
want you to tell time out. I want you to tell me, like, did you guys get a chance to talk? Because I want to get a feel for like how, like, because I remember you. This is a different podcast, Richard. Jordan waited on Bill Murray, and that's like a story.
Oh,
But
it
did you
was
have
so
like an
bad.
interact? Like, what is he like?
Oh,
what's he like?
He came in 2 times a week in 2018 when I worked at Barclay because he was
Bruce?
in the area. Yeah, he came in
Okay.
every 2 times a week with his agent.
Oh, so you really
who-
met him?
Oh yeah, he's like his agent. They met at a Grateful Dead concert, and they just became friends. And he was like, "Okay, you want to be my agent?" Like
That's
and
so
they've been
Bruce Willis.
We've been
I can
friends for
totally
like
see that.
25 years. So he's a random guy like that. And I'll never forget, this one time, just right near Halloween, him and his agent decided to dress up as the twins from The Shining.
Props.
They came in full dresses and pigtails into the restaurant to come eat. And we're like, what is, like, Bruce? And he's like, hey, Jordan, can I get this bottle of wine? I'm like, okay. I'm like, I can't ignore this. This is the most random thing ever. Because I guess they just had a rap party or a Halloween party for the cast of Glass, and he was like, all right, I'm just gonna go as the twins from The Shining with my buddy. So just random as hell. But
Bruce
we would-
Willis.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, we would talk all the time, and we would talk about wine and stuff like that. And he's a really down to earth guy, and obviously, like Richard pointed out, like he was in his 60s and he's making dad jokes. Like, for example, when the first time he came in, I started talking to him about bottles of wine. He knows the stuff. Obviously, the guy's worth however many hundreds of millions. Where
He likes wine.
And he preferred to sit at the bar. So instead of sitting in the dining room where everyone falling off him, he just wanted to be relaxed, come in, eat, leave, and that was it. He was a real simple guy. And after like the second or third time, we started having different conversations. And he loved this one particular bottle of wine. It was a Dariouche Cabernet from Napa. And it was just this one situation where I couldn't get it in delivered. So I didn't have it that week. And he was just like, oh man, Jordan, you're killing me. What are we doing here? And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, it's not on me. It's on the distributor. I didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we started going through the list and I tried to get him to certain things. And of course, he's like, oh, I'll take the bottle of Jordan Cab because you're a Jordan, right? Like, what? And I felt like I was talking to my dad for a minute. So like I'm opening a bottle of wine and he's insisting upon me having a glass of this Jordan Cabernet because my name is Jordan. And he gets to the point where he's like, come on, man, you got to have a glass of this. Come on, you got to do it. And I'm like, Bruce, I'm good.
Well, Bruce Willis is asking me to have a glass of wine.
No, but I felt bad because right before that, our other manager at the time comes over and fangirls and starts taking selfies and pictures with him. So I was like, fine, Bruce, I'll have a glass of wine. We'll just do this.
Yes, totally.
All right, fine. Yeah, right. Whatever.
No, but it's one of those things. Like he's just such a down to earth guy, and I imagine he's just bored. He just does what he wants and doesn't really care about it. I mean, the guy
Listen,
was.
and
I was gonna say he's ordering Wagyu steaks, like medium rare, and just on a Tuesday. Oh, I'm gonna spend $400 on Wagyu steak. Okay, great, just do it.
Yeah, and and that might be it, right? I imagine his kids are fully grown right now, and everybody's well off, and who would want to? And I shouldn't say who would want to, because my dad totally loves sitting around the house as a retired gentleman. But maybe listen, you're getting out. You're interacting with people. You're doing what you know how to do. It's a paycheck. So maybe that's just what he's up to. And maybe it's our fault as society where it's like, oh, Bruce, like, did you really need to do that? Like, we're not even watching it. But again, what's the harm in, Bruce making a movie that we're not going to watch, right? And we're you know what? We're all, Bruce, we're sorry. We're sorry, Bruce. We had the wrong idea here.
There's a market for it.
We met well, and we didn't know that Jordan knew you so well they could actually get this movie made. So
No, literally it was like what think 6 months of him coming in. He probably doesn't even remember. That's fine. I did geek out and tell him Fifth Element was my favorite movie though. That was great.
Yeah, I would tell him too. I'd be like, I loved you in Armageddon. You're the greatest father. Like I totally like you, the man.
Yeah, you should have said, you remind me of my father. You could play my father in a movie one day.
Yeah.
Was your dad a cop?
He's ex-military. Okay, I can do ex-military.
He has a gun named Roscoe.
Well, I mean, as we get towards the 1 hour mark, I got to be honest. I really like the way that Jordan told that story, and
it was awesome. Yeah,
and that's. I'm gonna use the word cute. Go ahead, Richard, got something.
I'm also laughing because our regular listeners are like, "Wait, there was a person on who told us a story succinctly. It followed one path. It didn't. They didn't start talking about other things. They didn't talk about like he just told a story, and it was enjoyable. And like I hear Shanna laughing, in the other room, and like, okay, yeah. So, meanwhile, like I'll come out sometimes when it's just Ryan and I. She'll be like, yeah, I didn't really follow what you guys were saying. You lost me somewhere along the way. So yeah, Ryan might have to get a little the Ryan Mercer
logo.
Yeah, maybe it should just be the Jordan Show with Ryan and Richard.
Yeah. Guest stars Ryan and Richard.
Well, I have an M. Night Shyamalan and Bryan Cranston story too. That was
perfect.
Oh,
during the Kevin Hart movie, when Bryan did the Kevin Hart movie.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that was.
I'm sorry. It was the Bryan Cranston movie, probably. So, I guess it was both of them.
Yeah, he was apparently in town meeting with M. Night Shyamalan, and I don't know if that resulted in anything. So he's in town, and I'm talking to my Shyamalan. I've met him before, a couple other occasions. I'm glad he didn't remember one particular one when I was 17. I was trashing his movies, and he's sitting down with Bryan Cranston and another guy who I think maybe his producer or something like that, or someone in M. Night Shyamalan camp, and he's like asking me what bottles of wine they recommend for what they order steak wise. And they got like a couple of big porterhouses, a tomahawk steak or whatever. I'm like, okay. And I start geeking out wine wise. And I tell them they should get a Brunello di Montalcino. It's a classic pairing with large cuts of meats. And so I go grab the bottle of wine. I come back. I start opening a bottle of wine. And Bryan Cranston's telling a story about I can't remember if he was filming a movie or he was just somewhere hanging out with some friends, and he was in Calgary, and his buddy, who's from like somewhere deep in the South, didn't understand that at these strip clubs they didn't have dollars. They were using they didn't have paper bills. They had like coins. So this guy is getting pretty wasted and starts just rifling them at the performers on stage. And Brian's just like horrified. He's like, I brought this guy here. I need to get this guy out of here. And obviously, I think Brian tried to do a good thing and get his friend out of there before he embarrassed him or get arrested in another country. But he was just like so mortified about that. So, and this is like probably like my first or second week at Barclay. And I was like, gentlemen, if you don't mind, I have a story that's equally as embarrassing. So I told Bryan Cranston and my Shyamalan a story about my old roommate and I going to a strip club and him blinding a stripper with a $1 bill and yelling, Long story short, with this one, because I don't want to go too off a tangent, my old roommate and I, we used to work in the same restaurant and obviously lived in the same house in South Philly. So we decided one night after getting cut early, we were going to go to the strip club that he wanted to go to. And we go in and like, this at the time is my first time going to a strip club. And I was just like, kind of like on edge. And I was like, this is weird. Let's just really get out of here. I'm just gonna have a few drinks and go home. And of course,
3 hours later.
Well, in great fashion, and Ryan, you saw this guy at my wedding who was riding on the back of one of Jen's.
Oh yeah, that kid's an animal, man.
He starts grabbing dollar bills and crumbling up and just starts yelling, Pistol Pete, and just throwing babehind his head and behind his back. And decides to go like this. He goes, make it rain. And throws a bunch of dollars. And there's the bar, then the bar well, and then the stage. And people are laughing so hard because he missed the stage completely. It's all in the bar well. And the bartender's getting upset because she has to keep picking them out. And he did this like 2 or 3 times. And then one time he crumbs up a $1 bill and throws behind the head and goes, Pistol Pete. And all you hear is, ow, my eye. And one of the performers on stage in the eye while she was doing her thing, and she was on the pole, and she stopped, and she's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this! You gotta get out of here!" So we're like, almost like The Hangover. I grabbed this guy, and we run out of the strip club, and then we drunkenly stumble home, and we like stop to get cheesesteaks or can have. And it's just one of the stories. Like I tell the story seldomly because it's so ridiculous. But like to tell it to Bryan Cranston and M. Night Shyamalan was the greatest thing.
Yeah,
ever.
right.
And the best part was after I told the story, I kind of left them alone. I came back to pour wine and see what they're doing. At the end of the meal, M. Night Shyamalan and Bryan Cranston are standing at the door, and I say, "Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night." M. Night Shyamalan comes up and hugs me and goes, "Your story brought us closer together tonight," and then leaves. And I was just like, "What's happening?" Like,
yo, he seems like a without starting the podcast all over again. Remember when he was on Entourage and he was just weird? He was like, "Ari, I'm going to make sure that you read the script. Okay, so make sure that you read it. And I'm going to fact check you in the morning." And then Ari gets his car switched up, and then M. Night shows up, and he's like, "I tried to reach you all night. I switched the script so you don't have to read the other one." But I remember he was just like such a goofball. I was like, M. Night Shyamalan, you gained a few points in my book.
I got to meet him a couple of times, and he's always super nice guy, really kind of approachable. But like, it's just every time I see him, I think of some of his movies, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" I go to say it to him, but I'm like, I'm never going to be that guy.
What are you doing, dude?
Well, the last time I saw him, I wanted to see if he remembered me and remembered my story about the strip club. But it wasn't the right place or right time.
Yeah, Old had come out. It was another, box office but nope. So
that was a good laughs to end our Bruce Willis fun.
I was gonna say I thought it was a very I honestly at this point feel like this episode was a good story. We started out with a few subplots, then got to the plot, then Jordan did that thing where somebody changes everybody's perspective, and you get full circle.
It was the
at
twist.
The end.
It was the twist ending. Yeah,
yeah,
we nailed it.
Now we all feel bad that we feel bad that we questioned Bruce Willis's career and life decisions, but
yeah, you thought we were going to crap on Bruce Willis, but boom, nope. He's just a regular guy like you or I.
Exactly.
He's a regular guy. We reaffirmed that he is still just a legend, right? Just a cinema legend. He's at least Planet Hollywood got his hand on what is it, Hollywood Boulevard? He has his
Walk of Fame.
So to wrap this up, Bruce Willis, we love you. Keep making movies. Do it until you die, man. Keep going strong. That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Till next time. Yeah, we got the Oscars on Sunday, so maybe
I was just about to say.
Actually, I'm sorry. We should have said we got the Razzies on Friday or Saturday this week. So we'll be back. We'll be back soon to tell you who won the Bruce Willis Award.
I was going to say who won the Bruce Willis Award. But no, in all seriousness, we'll link up and see what's going on, because in this day and age, like 110 things could happen at the Oscars that we just might have to talk about.
Definitely.
All right, everyone.
All right, thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.